Hi, I'm Damien Roy and welcome on my guitar lesson YouTube channel. Today let's do another theory lesson and let's talk about relative scales. So what are relative scales? You have minor scales and you have major scales, but did you know that a major scale will have a minor relative scale and a minor relative scale will have a major scale? Yes, it does exist. So if I take the example of the C scale, remember that? So you're going to have the notes going from C to C, okay, with a half step between 3 and 4 and a half step between 7 and 8. Now, if I take, for example, A minor natural that we've previously seen, I'm going to play the notes here. So I'm playing from A to A. So what would you have in common between C major scale and A minor natural? Well, if you have a look, the structure's not the same. The half steps are not at the same spot depending on the start on the root. But if you look at the two scales, you will realize that they have exactly the same notes. So when you're improvising on a chord, for example on the C chord, you could be improvising in the key of C, or you could be in the key of A minor natural. So this could be also a Aeolian mode. So we will see that a little bit later, but that's the case. So improvising in C major scale could be also improvising in A minor scale. For example, if I'm playing on a C chord here, a lot of people are going to improvise under A minor pentatonic scale. Does that bother you? No, it doesn't, because it's the same notes than in C. So, how does it work? Well, from a major scale to a minor scale relative, you're going to have a distance of a minor third. So that's going to be 1.5 steps, but it has to be a minor third. So for example, if you're going on a G scale, or a key of G, if I have my G scale, what would be my minor relative scale? Well, you go from G and you go down G, F, E. So it's going to be E something. So between E and G you have a minor third. It's a third interval, and it's a minor third, so there's 1.5 steps. So my minor relative scale for improvising, for example, or playing or writing music would be E minor natural. Okay? So because in E minor natural and G scale you have exactly the same notes. Now, if we have, for example, F major scale, so I'm going to play here. The minor relative scale will be D minor. Because we're using exactly the same notes, but we're not starting on the same root. But it's the same thing. When you're improvising, you're doing both. Did you realize, for example, if you're playing on a chord progression like Knocking on Heaven's Door, for example, in the Guns N' Roses, Slash is improvising on the pentatonic of E minor. Did that ever struck you? Think about it. That you're playing on the pentatonic right here, hearing all those three chords. Like this here, and he's improvising in the key of E minor pentatonic. He's not playing a G, but he could play a G major, but he's playing E minor pentatonic to improvise over the solo. Now let's have a look at the last example here. So if we have D scale, so we have two sharps, all the Fs, all the Cs are going to be sharp. My minor relative scale will be B minor. So here on the neck, for example, if I take, for example, C here, I'll have my C scale. Right here on fret 8. Well, my minor third is going to be at a distance of a minor third, so that's 1.5 steps here. So 1 step and a half. So A minor pentatonic that I can use for improvising. So you have to have a little practice on. Just loop a chord and try to work out your relative scales, major and minor, and you'll realize that this is a plus in your playing understanding, how to use them. Please don't forget to subscribe to my Guitar Lesson YouTube channel. I also have a Patreon where you can find the PDF sheets of the lesson, so you can subscribe also. Have a good practice.